So in the last lesson, we ended up here dealing with our form.submitted property, and we looked at this reset form. So in a real world use case, it might be that we want to send off some data to the server and then start to display to the user something that's happening via this submitted. It might be that we want to show some text or change the text with inside the button, or perhaps show a loading spinner or some text below. Now for us, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to add a piece of text below with an ngIf to then allow us to toggle it. So we're going to say if the form is valid, because of course we don't want to show it if it's invalid, and the form has just been submitted, then we want to show some kind of text. I'm going to use working. So when we hit create, we're going to see working. Stuff will happen in the background, which we're going to learn about in the next chapter on services, state, and dealing with APIs. And when that's all finished, we could then go and hide this, because our form, we could reset it if we're then seeing our data then coming back, or we could navigate back to a completely different component, which in turn is then going to destroy the component in view, so we won't see this text anyway. Now before we go and save things out, I'm going to add a class. We're going to call this donut form-working. Call it whatever you like. I'm going to choose working. We're going to go down into our styles. Above the error, I'm going to then add this working. We can say font-size. We'll make it a bit smaller. Font style, we can make italic. And we'll give it some breathing space with some nice 10 pixels margin on the top and bottom. So when we save this out, we can jump into our form, select a few options, set a price, jump into our description, add some text. Now when we hit create, you can see we have working ... So this is a nice piece of user feedback, and we can put this wherever we like. It's completely up to you where you want to add elements such as this. But this is then allowing us to show to the user something that is actually happening in the background, because otherwise, as soon as they submit the form, they're not going to see anything actually happening until our API request comes back. So this is a nice little enhancement that we can add to our form. As behind the scenes, our API requests will be having an effect. We're obviously not there yet. We're not going to tie in any APIs in this lesson. We're going to do that in the next chapter. Our form is then packing some great features already. So we're almost at the place where we can then tie this up to some real world data, make some HTTP requests, think about our state and state management, moving our component state out into a service, and so much more. So with this in mind, let's jump in and finish off this chapter. We've got a few lessons left, but we're almost done.